They're not screaming because of the monsters. They're screaming because of you. Picture this: an armed guard decked out in tactical gear sweeps his flashlight across a dimly lit corridor. His radio crackles with panicked chatter.
He's here! Where? Oh god, I can't see him!
Beads of sweat roll down the guard's face as his breathing quickens. The beam of light frantically darts from corner to corner. Then he hears it. The distinct sound of a magazine being loaded. But there's nothing there, just empty space. Until there isn't. In that split second before death, he sees you materialize from thin air. Time itself seems to slow as you raise your shotgun. His eyes widen with the primal realization that he's about to die. And there's absolutely nothing he can do about it. In most horror games, you're the one hiding in closets, crawling under beds, desperately trying to survive. You're the prey, the victim, the final girl limping towards safety while something unspeakable hunts you down. But not in Trepang2. In Trepang2, you're what goes bump in the night. You're the urban legend that security personnel tell each other during shift changes. Watch out for Subject 106, they whisper. If the lights flicker, you're already dead. Normal shooters make you feel powerful, sure, but Trepang2 makes you feel like something else entirely. Something that shouldn't exist. Something that belongs in the nightmares of hardened mercenaries. Those aren't death screams you're hearing when you clear a room. They're the sounds of pure, distilled terror. And here's what makes Trepang2 truly special. It's not just about being powerful. Games have been doing that for decades. It's about being feared. When those guards radio for backup, when they fire blindly at shadows, when they run instead of fight, that's when you realize the truth that makes the game more than just another shooter with supernatural abilities. You're not the hero fighting monsters. You're what monsters have nightmares about. Welcome to fucking Trepang2, baby. A game where the enemies will literally piss themselves when they see you. And I'm not exaggerating. The AI actually has a fear response programmed in. It's hilarious watching these poor bastards panic and try to radio for help, like anyone's coming to save them from you. 4 guys in Vancouver made this shit. 4. And they decided, you know what, let's not make the player some hero saving the world from demons, let's make them the goddamn demon. And I respect that level of commitment to the bit. I mean, what other FPS lets you go invisible, break a dude's neck, and then watch his buddy scream in terror before shooting wildly at shadows as you've disappeared into invisibility? These Horizon mercenaries thought they signed up for standard security duty, not a fucking paranormal snuff film where they're the stars. Kinda feel bad for them. Not bad enough to stop doing it though. Trepang2 doesn't make you earn your power. It just hands it to you, wrapped in blood, smoke, and confusion. No leveling system, no emotional arc, no fragile beginnings. The moment the game starts, you're already a monster. You don't grow into power, you wake up with it humming in your bones, ready to kill. Most shooters build a power curve. You start with a pea shooter and climb your way to greatness. You level up, you upgrade, you improve. Trepang2 laughs at that entire design philosophy. It doesn't care about your journey, it doesn't need to. It just throws you out of a prison cell with godlike abilities and says go. And you do. You tear through train security like they're made of paper mache. You're not desperate, you're not scared, you're not surviving, you're executing. Efficiently, quietly, with surgical violence that borders on supernatural. There's no tutorial on how to snap a neck or how to move through gunfire like a whisper. You already know how, like muscle memory hard-coded into your bones. You weren't taught these things, you were designed for them. And the game never stops to ask if you're okay with this. There's no morality meter, no non-lethal option, no quiet voice in your head wondering if there's another way. You can go invisible, slow time, slide kick someone across a room, and then rip their jaw out before their friend even finishes screaming. Not because you're evil, but that's because it's what you are. You don't clear rooms, you purge them. At first, it feels cool, funny even. Then it starts to feel efficient. Then it just feels routine. You're not getting stronger, you're not becoming something, you're just refining the process. Like a knife sharpening itself through use. Every kill cleaner, every movement tighter, and eventually it doesn't even feel like you're fighting anyone. You're executing a protocol, not because you want to, but because it's what you were made to do. And the world reacts accordingly. These aren't cannon fodder AI running down hallways with death wishes. They panic, they scream, they break formation and fire wildly at nothing. They don't fight, they try to survive you. The horror in Trepang2 isn't in the monsters you face. It's in the fact that you are the monster. There's no moment where the game gives you a speech about this. It doesn't need one. It just gives you silence after the fight, after the screams, after the blood sprays the walls, and the music cuts out. You're left standing in the aftermath, still breathing, surrounded by ruin. And the only thing pushing you forward is the next objective marker. Because the game doesn't want you to question why you're doing this. Not yet, that comes later. For now, it wants you to feel what it's like to be unleashed, to kill without context, to be the thing in the dark that makes professionals panic. The story can wait. Right now, you're learning how good it feels to stop asking questions. But Trepang is smarter than it looks. It lets you indulge for a while, lets you enjoy the power, the speed, the violence. And then, just when you're fully comfortable in your own horror, it pulls the rug out from under you. Because eventually, you stop asking, what can I do? And start asking, why was I made to do this? To understand what's really going on here, we need to take a detour. It's time to talk about where you came from, about the organization that built you, used you, and tried to bury you when you were no longer useful. Let's talk about the Syndicate. Let's talk about Horizon. Let's talk about the cycle. You're not just powerful. You're part of a system that creates monsters, then buries them. So far, Trepang2 has handed you a sledgehammer and told you to go nuts. Every corridor is another test of speed, reflexes, and supernatural dominance. Every enemy is another unfortunate soul who gets ragdolled into a wall while screaming for backup that's never coming. And even if it does, will probably be instantly turned into paste. And at some point, maybe after the 300th kill, or the 5th time someone screams, "What is that thing?" Or the moment you blow a man's head off with a shotgun at point-blank range, before he even finishes his sentence, a question starts crawling up through the blood-soaked cracks in your mind. Who the hell am I? It's not an accident that the game waits to answer this. It wants you to feel powerful before it lets you realize you're very disposable. Because Trepang isn't telling a story about a hero. It's telling a story about a product, and that product is you. Let's break down this shit from the beginning. See, when we talk about Trepang2's story, we're not just talking about some generic save-the-world bullshit. We're talking about a meticulously crafted narrative about how power systems use people as weapons, then throw them away when they're done. The game begins with you, Subject 106, strapped to a wheelchair in a high-security prison cell at a Horizon facility called Site 14. Your restraints are tight, inescapable. There is literally nothing in the room you are in except yourself, a wheelchair, and a monitor directly in front of your face playing bizarre, unsettling imagery. It's not a cell designed for living, it's a chamber designed for conditioning. Suddenly, the door bursts open. The game doesn't leave it to your imagination. You actually see Subject 105, your rescuer, in action. Dressed in black tactical gear, he cuts through guards like they're made of paper. His movements are efficient, precise, almost superhuman. He pauses just long enough to shoot the monitor in front of you, shattering your connection to whatever programming they were running on it. Then he's gone, leaving you to break free of your restraints on your own. If you try to open up your database menu at this point, you'll find exactly one intel log. A short poem entitled Serenity. It's the lyrics to the song that was playing on that monitor before 105 shot it. Part lullaby, part conditioning tool. The words hint to your purpose in this world, even if you don't realize it yet. Following the trail of carnage 105 left behind, you make your way through the facility. He's methodical. He leaves glow sticks behind like breadcrumbs, guiding you through the carnage. When you find the keys to your cuffs in a control room, you're free. And that's when the real fun begins. From here, it's just you, a pistol, and wave after wave of increasingly desperate Horizon security personnel. They come in with tactics, comms, and suppressing fire. You respond with violence. This is where you get your first taste of what makes this game special. The slow motion, the invisibility. Those brutal executions where you launch some poor bastard so hard into a wall that his skeleton probably breaks in 17 different places. And it's here when you start to notice something peculiar about the way these guards talk about you. They don't say things like stop the intruder or kill the escapee. They say things like contain the subject and don't let it get out. You're not even a person to them, you're an it. A thing that broke containment. As you fight your way through Site 14, you start to piece together what the hell is going on. You see test chambers, surgery rooms, notes about your development. It becomes pretty fucking clear that you weren't a prisoner. You were a lab rat, and a valuable one at that. One of the intel logs you find is a scientist briefing about your abilities. Reportedly, he is able to turn invisible at will, dodge bullets, and possesses superhuman strength. The tone is clinical, detached. You're a curiosity, a specimen. There's another log about memory transplant attempts where they talk about how they tried to pull information from your brain and put it into volunteers. One died instantly. The other went nuts and attacked the staff before being put down. There's even an email from the chief researcher to the CEO of Horizon talking about something called the WBE project, an attempt to digitally simulate a human brain. The researcher suggests that instead of trying to build a digital brain, they should just transplant a brain's patterns directly into another brain. Guess whose brain they wanted to use as a template? By the time you reach the roof, you're moving with full supernatural speed and lethality. And that's where you find Subject 105, dead by his own hand, mission complete. He offed himself rather than be recaptured. But before you can process what the hell that means, a helicopter touches down. Task Force 27 here to extract their asset. That's when it hits you. This wasn't some desperate escape. This was a retrieval operation. You were meant to be caught, meant to be stored, and then meant to escape. You are now an active agent of the cycle. The director, the woman in charge of Task Force 27, welcomes you with open arms. She acts like she's your biggest fan, like she's been waiting for you. She never once explains who you are or why you were in that facility. She just puts you straight to work. Because to her, that's all you are. Work. After escaping from Site 14, your new handlers waste no time putting you to work. Your first mission sends you to the Pandora Institute, a place that looks like a fancy private hospital on the outside, but is pure nightmare fuel on the inside. However, the approach doesn't quite go as planned. You're flying in on Raven's helicopter, headed for a clean insertion, when suddenly the sky lights up with anti-aircraft fire. The chopper has to deploy countermeasures and bank hard to avoid being hit. There's no time for a proper landing. You end up having to drop onto a random rooftop as missiles streak through the air around you. This is your first clue that the Pandora Institute is not what it claims to be. What kind of end-of-life care facility has anti-aircraft defenses? Let's talk about this place for a second. From the outside, the Pandora Institute presents itself as a high-end medical facility for terminally ill patients. Your initial push takes you through immaculate lobbies with modern furniture, stylish art installations, and state-of-the-art medical equipment. Everything is polished, pristine white surfaces and calming blue accents. There are posters advertising miraculous achievements in medicines, limb restoration, cures for blindness, AI-generated concerts for entertainment. It's a goddamn paradise for people who are out of options. Your first order of business is to fight your way to that AA gun and disable it, so that Task Force 27 can land reinforcement. It's not easy. The place is crawling with Horizon mercenaries who clearly weren't expecting company tonight. They're professional, coordinated, and they know the territory better than you do. But they're still just men with guns, and you're, well, whatever the hell you are. After finally disabling the AA gun, Raven drops off breach charges for you and deploys more task force operators to secure the perimeter. You push deeper into the facility, and that's when the pristine facade starts to crumble. The further in you go, the more the environment changes. Those clean modern spaces give way to medical wards where classical music plays over PA systems while bodies lie under sheets on gurneys. Then it gets worse. You reach the underground section, Site 97, as the director calls it. That is when you see what's really been going on. Down here, all pretense is gone. Alarms are blaring, emergency lights pulse like a migraine, the halls are littered with so many dead bodies that it's starting to smell like a meat locker in summer. Your objective? Find Dr. Emerson, also known as Subject 96. Yeah, another subject. Starting to see a pattern here? As you explore the facility, picking through the wreckage and putting bullets in anything that moves, you start finding scattered documents. Emails between staff, audio logs, patient consent forms with fine print that would make Satan himself say, wow, that's a bit much. One log is a welcome letter to a new patient, not an elderly person, but a young adult. Another is a social media post from someone tagging a 27-year-old terminally ill skateboarder who's gone missing since he signed up for that research thing last week. Then there's this email from admission staff telling them to be more aggressive with recruitment because the more patients we have, the better it is for science. The picture they paint is deeply fucked. The Pandora Institute isn't treating these people, they're using them. Test subjects for Horizon's experiments. And Dr. Emerson wasn't just some random scientist. He was one of you. A subject who knew exactly what he was and decided to burn everything down rather than keep playing his part. And how did he do it? By deliberately releasing Subject 97-01 from containment. Mothman. Yeah, that's right, Mothman. The fucking urban legend from the 60s turned into a horrifying bioweapon. Because in the world of Trepang2, of course that's a thing. There's actually an intel log that refers to a mission archive from 1967, describing an operation at the Silver Bridge where explosives had to be used when firearms proved ineffective against the target. It's a reference to the real-world Silver Bridge collapse that killed 46 people. An incident that happened right after locals reported seeing a creature they called the Mothman. But in Trepang2 universe, it wasn't just an urban legend. It was real. And now Horizon has it. As you push deeper into the facility, things go from bad to worse. You catch glimpses of Mothman, this massive winged monstrosity with an exoskeleton that seems to shrug off bullets like they're spitballs. The infected personnel, because of course there's infected personnel in a bioweapon facility, officially called converted soldiers but dubbed Jiggly Boys in the game files, are everywhere. These poor bastards have been exposed to the substance Mothman produces, and it's caused their DNA to rapidly rewrite itself, turning them into bloated, aggressive monsters that eventually explode from the gas buildup in their bodies. You're not fighting half the time, you're running. For the first time in the game, you're the one being hunted. The roles have been reversed. You scramble through corridors coated in biological growths, the walls pulsing like they're alive, while this thing stalks you from the shadows. It's a masterclass in tension building, especially when your character's usual confidence is replaced with desperate survival. Eventually though, you make it to the reactor area. The director tells you over the radio that the only way to destroy this place is to overload the reactors. There's just one small problem. They're protected by laser gates. After disabling the security measures, you realize what you have to do. The reactors need organic material to overload, and there's plenty of that walking around in the form of infected. So you do what any reasonable super soldier would do. You start chucking Jiggly Boys into the reactors like you're playing some fucked up version of basketball. Each one you throw in causes the reactor to surge and spark, the facility's emergency lights pulsing faster with each overload. Just as you finish the last reactor, the facility starts to come apart at the seams. Alarms blare, the ground shakes, and guess who shows up to make your escape even more fun? That's right, Mothman's back, and he's pissed. What follows is a desperate sprint to the elevator. Mothman is right on your heels. You fire at it, but your bullets might as well be marshmallows for all the good they're doing. This isn't a fight, it's a stalling action. You just need to keep this thing busy long enough for the elevator to arrive. The elevator doors finally open, and you dive inside. The doors close and you start to ascend. For a moment, there's silence, just the hum of the elevator and your own ragged breathing. We reach the surface level and regroup with the surviving Task Force 27 operators. They look like they've been through hell, wounded and low on ammo. One of them says Raven is on his way with the helicopter, but you just need to hold out a little longer. That's when the elevator shaft explodes outwards and Mothman emerges. Damaged, smoking from the facility's meltdown below, but still very much alive. It tears through the remaining operators like they're made of paper, and then it's just you and this nightmare creature. But now things are different. Mothman is wounded, its impenetrable exoskeleton is cracked, revealing glowing green organs underneath. Finally, you have something to aim at. The final phase of the fight takes place in this claustrophobic fenced area by the helipad. It's a deadly game of cat and mouse, with you darting between cover, going invisible to reposition, slowing time to line up shots at those exposed weak points. Mothman is relentless, charging you with reckless abandon, launching itself at you with terrifying speed. Every time you land a solid hit on one of its exposed organs, it feels like you're doing real damage. When you finally bring it down, the creature collapses in a heap of twitching limbs and leaking fluorescent fluid. You stand over it, breathing hard, covered in blood. Both yours and not yours. And that's when you hear it, the helicopter arriving. As you board Raven's chopper and lift off, you look down at the Pandora Institute. The entire complex is engulfed in flames, thick black smoke bellowing to the sky. And somewhere in that inferno is what's left of Dr. Emerson, Subject 95. Before you left, you found his body near the remnants of a makeshift barricade. The poor bastard was already eviscerated, whether by Mothman or by his own hand, it's hard to tell. But when you searched his remains, you found something significant. A medallion with the Roman numeral XCV-95 carved into it. Identical to one we found on Subject 105, which also bore Roman numerals of the same number as his name. As the helicopter banks away from the facility, you turn the medallion over in your hand. You're starting to see a pattern here. Subject 105, Subject 95, and you, Subject 106. These aren't just random designations, there's a connection, a lineage almost. And as the director congratulates you on a job well done, already briefing you on your next mission without so much as acknowledging the dozens of her own people who just died, you can't help but wonder, how many subjects came before you? And how many of them tried to break free? When you return to the Task Force 27 safe house, the director leads you down an elevator that wasn't accessible before. There's no congratulations, no debriefing about all the men that just died. Just a simple, I have something to show you. She takes you down into the deepest levels of the facility, an area you didn't even know existed. What she reveals is troubling, to say the least. Hidden beneath the safe house is an enormous thermonuclear warhead. The director explains matter-of-factly that it's a failsafe. If the base is ever overrun by hostile forces, it's your responsibility to arm it. Not a request, an expectation. There's no emotion in her voice as she briefs you on how to activate a device that could vaporize everything within a considerable radius, including yourself. Just cold, practical instruction. This isn't just about trust, it's about having a contingency plan. As you ride the elevator back up, you can't help but wonder. How often does a secret organization need to nuke its own headquarters? And why are you, specifically, being given this responsibility? Is it because you're valuable, or because you're expendable? Your next deployment takes you someplace completely different. Jorvik Castle, a medieval fortress perched in a snowy mountain range. But this isn't some tourist attraction. It's a stronghold for a cult that's gone all in on bioenhancement. This time, you're not going in solo. Task Force 27 deploys 3 Spectre teams alongside you for this operation. It's a full-scale assault on the castle with multiple entry points and objectives. Your mission is to secure the castle and capture or eliminate the cult leadership, along with securing a Horizon high-value target, Dr. Kramer. This place has a long history. According to the intel logs you can find scattered around, it was originally built by fierce Vikings, then occupied by Romans, and later expanded by wealthy British noblemen. Now it serves as the sacred temple for a cult of mass zealots who worship something/someone they call the Patriarch. The mission opens with you above a large courtyard, with the accompanying Spectre team waiting for you to make the first shot before the courtyard plunges into chaos. The guards you encounter here aren't ordinary soldiers, they are utter zealots. They chant weird mantras as they attack. Others literally light themselves on fire and try to take you down with them, screaming about martyrdom and glory. These fuckers will keep running at you even as they're burning alive. For the Patriarch, they shout as they charge at you with reckless abandon. The Cabal will fall, whatever the hell that means. As you cut through gatehouses and throne rooms, you notice the twisted religious iconography everywhere. Statues, strange symbols burned into stone walls, altars stained with what looks suspiciously like blood. It's like someone took the medieval times and crossed it with Warhammer 40,000. Intel logs flesh out this bizarre cult even further. You find journal entries from a former Horizon employee named Thomas, who joined the cult with his pregnant wife. In his first entry, he sounds hopeful, talking about finding purpose and fulfillment. By his second entry, his wife has died during childbirth, but he's so brainwashed he just sees it as a blessing from the Patriarch. By his final entry, he's abandoned all personality, and just talks about becoming a martyr for the cause. Then there's the librarian entries that detail the cult's history and beliefs. Apparently, they think they're waging war against the nefarious Cabal, a shadowy group that's been controlling the world for millennia. The cult believes that barbarians from ages ago tried to ascend using mysterious tablets, but were foiled when Romans discovered and killed them. And they also believe that Task Force 27 is part of the Cabal and, well, the Syndicate as a whole. Over the radio, the Patriarch himself addresses you directly. He warns you that you're not the first one sent to kill him, and if you don't want to end up dead like the others, you should back off. His voice is calm, measured, not what you'd expect from a cult leader. Fighting deeper into the castle, you eventually encounter the Enforcer, the Patriarch's right-hand man, and the cult's military leader. He's a formidable opponent, armed with a minigun, and surrounded by his elite guards. After a brutal firefight, you manage to take him down and claim his minigun for yourself. Meanwhile, one of the Spectre teams report that they've located Dr. Kramer, the Horizon scientist who's been collaborating with the cult. They're beginning extraction. Everything seems to be going according to plan. Then it all goes to shit. Horizon forces arrive in helicopters, launching an assault on the castle to protect their asset. The tactical situation deteriorates rapidly as a three-way battle erupts between Task Force 27, the cultists, and Horizon's mercenaries. You lose contact with Spectre 3, the team that had Dr. Kramer. The director orders you to find them, suspecting Horizon might have intercepted the extraction. You fight your way through chaotic firefights as Horizon and cultist forces tear into each other, making your way deeper into the castle. Eventually, you find yourself in what appears to be some kind of CQB training area, a kill house filled with mannequins for target practice. But there's something else littering the floor. Well, room. The bodies of Spectre 3, or what's left of them. They've been torn apart, eviscerated. You find Dr. Kramer too, or rather, a pile of blood and viscera that used to be him. Strangely, you can't find the body of Spectre 3 Actual, the team leader. Then your HUD picks up his transponder signal, getting closer and closer. Something smashes through a door on the far side of the room, and you come face to face with horror. Spectre 3 Actual has been transformed into a flesh golem. This monstrosity is a horrific amalgamation of body parts. Not just the Spectre leader, but other victims as well, cobbled together into a massive brute. Arms, legs, and even faces are grafted onto its body at unnatural angles. It lumbers towards you with surprising speed, shrugging off your initial shots like they're nothing. The fight is brutal. The flesh golem can tear through cover, hook you with a flesh tentacle that brings you closer, and it takes an ungodly amount of firepower to bring down. But eventually, you manage to put it out of its misery. Returning to the central courtyard, you hear over the radio that Spectre 2 has been overrun. Your only path forward is the elevator monument in the center of the courtyard from the beginning, which will take you down to where the Patriarch is hiding. But first, you have to get to it. The courtyard has become a war zone, with cultists pouring in from every doorway. Spectre 1, the last surviving team, takes up positions to support you as you make a push for the elevator. Wave after wave of fanatical cultists charge your position, throwing enemies at you with suicidal determination. When the elevator finally arrives, you dive onto it. Spectre 1 stays behind to hold off the cultists, allowing you to descend. As the elevator goes down, you hear their communications, the team members being picked off one by one, until finally, there's nothing but static. You're on your own again. The underground chambers are like a different world, ancient stone corridors illuminated by torchlight. It's like descending into the depths of some medieval hell. When you finally locate the Patriarch, he's waiting for you in a massive cathedral-like chamber. Unlike the others you've encountered, he doesn't immediately try to kill you. He speaks calmly, he recognizes you, and he seems genuinely sad about what's happening. He doesn't gloat, he doesn't taunt, he laments. This isn't just another boss fight, it's a ritual. A repeat of something that's happened before, and something he hoped would never happen again. He's been through this once already. One brother sent to kill him, now another product of the cycle. The moment is heavy because it's the first time someone like you acknowledges you. Not as a weapon, not as an asset, but as kin. And he doesn't want to do this. But he still will, and so will you. The Patriarch isn't just another mindless zealot. He's a subject who went rogue, established his own power base, and tried to prepare for what he calls Judgment Day. He talks about the Cabal, which you're starting to suggest might be the Syndicate, or at least a part of it, and know they've infiltrated the highest seats of power. He believes the end is coming, and he's been preparing his followers for it. The boss fight that follows is unlike anything we've faced so far. The Patriarch doesn't just use conventional weapons, he fights like another subject. He fights just like you. It's like fighting a mirror image. And he's not alone. Throughout the fight, he summons waves of his most devoted followers to attack. At one point, he even calls forth another flesh golem, forcing you to divide your attention between multiple, considerable threats. What makes this fight particularly poignant is the Patriarch's dialogue. He doesn't hate you, he pities you. He knows exactly what you are because he was once in your position. He calls you brother, and talks about how the Syndicate has twisted both of you into weapons. When he finally falls, his last words stick with you. Break the cycle. And as you stand there, surrounded by the corpses of cultists and the ruins of their sacred temple, you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, these people weren't completely insane after all. If the Syndicate is as powerful and insidious as the Patriarch claim, how can you be sure you're not just another pawn in their game? Site 83 is where shit gets weird, and in a game that already features Mothman and a religious cult led by a super soldier, that's saying something. You're deployed into the Horizon Black site in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Siberia, alongside Phantom 1 squad. The mission starts with you at the entrance to the facility. But what's most striking isn't what's there, it's what isn't. No corpses, no enemy guards, no resistance of any kind. Just empty, silent halls stretching on and on. The whole place feels wrong. Like something terrible happened here, but all evidence was carefully removed. You and two task force members cautiously make your way deeper into the facility. You reach a door that needs power to open, so you split off to find a breaker box. After restoring power, an electrical fault forces you to take a detour through a vent back. By the time you return to where you left your squad mates, they're gone. No blood, no signs of struggle, just gone. As you press on alone, the pristine corridors gradually give way to bloodier hallways. Dark stains splatter the walls, equipment lies abandoned, as if everyone just dropped what they were doing and ran. Then, without warning, the door behind you slams shut, trapping you in a short hallway as a dark, smoky entity materializes at the other end. It moves towards you with unnatural speed, and before you can even react, it's on you. A jump scare that cracks your gas mask beyond repair. When your vision clears, you're somewhere else in the facility entirely, forced to discard your now damaged mask. As you explore the facility, audio logs and video recordings provide glimpses of what happened here. Subject 83, or Object 83 as some logs call it, is a crystalline entity that emits a psychic field. A logistics report mentions strange occurrences where items disappear and reappear elsewhere, sometimes with duplicates. Another log from a medical officer notes an increase in accidents due to personnel experiencing blackouts and hallucinations. The walls themselves try to warn you, with messages scrawled in blood. Don't run, and they are blind. These aren't the ravings of madmen, they're survival tips left by the desperate. You find a history log detailing how Site-83 was built by the Soviets in the 1970s after discovering the crystal. The staff began experiencing strange phenomena, disappearances, hallucinations, until a catastrophic incident in 1986 forced an evacuation. The facility was sealed with concrete, trapping many personnel inside. They were never found. Another document reveals that Anton Lazar reopened the facility in 2035 using his connections. Scientist logs mention experiments where they electrified the crystal, causing a power surge and some disappearances. Eventually, after managing to sneak past the smoky entities, you encounter a small group of Horizon guards. They're talking about an intruder, you, but also wondering if you might be part of a rescue team. They've clearly been stranded here for some time, cut off from the outside world. When they realize you're not here to save them, they attack and you're forced to defend yourself. As you try to move past their bodies, something impossible happens. Your vision becomes distorted, grainy, pulsing with static. The world around you seems to fold in on itself, and suddenly, you're somewhere else entirely. The back rooms, that's the only way to describe it. Endless yellow corridors stretching in all directions, buzzing fluorescent lights, that constant ambient drone that gets under your skin. It doesn't look exactly like the internet meme at first, but as you push deeper, you find those iconic neon green walls and repeating patterns. You wander through the impossible space, trying to find your way back. The corridors become increasingly dirty and distorted. Walls are covered with strange paintings and symbols. You find areas that resemble Horizon labs, equipment still running, notes still on clipboards. Evidence that Horizon has been experimenting here, treating the backrooms just like another research site to exploit. One expedition log you found earlier mentioned a team of 20 security personnel who were sent into the crystal to locate a missing guard. They found themselves in an endless yellow labyrinth. They mapped over 30 kilometers of it without finding an exit. None of them ever returned. After what feels like hours of wandering, you find a hallway that narrows progressively until you're almost crawling, and then you spill out back into Site-83, as if passing through some interdimensional membrane. Fighting through more Horizon guards, you hear your squad mates somewhere deeper in the facility. Their radio transmissions are distorted, like they're coming from far away or long ago. But before you can reach them, you're pulled back into the backrooms again. This time, it's different. The backrooms are no longer empty. Horizon guards patrol here too, looking just as confused and terrified as you feel. But there's something else. Something watching from the shadows. As you move through a dark area filled with pillars, eerie laughter echoes all around you. Out of the corner of your eye, you catch glimpses of figures watching from the darkness. Entities with human-like silhouettes, but gaping holes where their heads should be. They vanish when you try to look at them directly. These must be the shadow people mentioned in an expedition log you found. The ones the team reported seeing right before they went radio silent. Fighting your way through more guards and avoiding the mysterious entities, you finally find another exit from the backrooms. This one deposits you right next to Subject 83 itself. A massive crystalline structure pulsing with unnatural light. And there, to your relief, is the rest of Phantom Squad setting up what looks like a high-powered laser. Your reunion, however, is cut brutally short. The crystal sends out arcs of energy that instantly vaporize your squad mates, turning them into red mist before your eyes. Their screams cut off mid-syllable, leaving you alone with their half-completed weapon. You need to finish what they started. There are 3 breaker boxes you need to activate to power up the laser, but each one is guarded by those same shadowy entities you encountered in the backrooms. You can't fight them directly. Your weapons pass right through them and they block the way. But you notice something. Every time Horizon reinforcements arrive and you eliminate them, the entities absorb their energy, becoming temporarily solid and moving away from the breakers they're guarding, electrical arcs taking their place. It's a grim solution, but it works. Wave after wave of guards arrive, and each group you defeat allows you to activate another breaker. Finally, with all 3 breakers active, you power up the laser. The beam strikes the crystal, causing it to shatter with a sound that seems to exist both inside and outside your head. But instead of simply breaking apart, it creates a vacuum, pulling everything towards it like a black hole. Debris, equipment, bodies, and you. You're dragged inexorably towards the fractured crystal, unable to resist its pull. This is it, the end. But then something happens, something impossible to explain. You don't escape the pull, it's too strong for that. Instead, you pass through the crystal, through dimensions, through realities, and emerge somewhere else entirely. You find yourself standing at the edge of an enormous crater where Site 83 used to be. The Siberian wind howling around you. A voice, sourceless yet clear, whispers, "It's not your time yet." In the distance, you hear the familiar sound of rotor blades. It's Falcon, your task force pilot, circling overhead. Over the radio, he sounds shocked to find you alive. There's no sign of anyone else, he says. No survivors at all. Not Horizon, nor task force. Just you. And as his helicopter descends to extract you, you can't help but wonder, did you really escape? Or were you released? This is it. The big one. Everything that you've done so far has been building to this moment. The assault on Horizon's corporate headquarters. Why are you doing this? Why has the director been so focused on bringing down this corporation? Because they captured you? Because of their unethical experiments? You're not entirely sure, but you've come too far to start asking questions now. The mission begins with you infiltrating the drainage systems beneath Horizon HQ, a massive skyscraper complex. Your job is to plant explosives at key structural points to weaken the building's defenses before the main Task Force 27 assault begins. The security down here is a mix of corporate guards, who look like they'd be more at home checking IDs in a lobby than engaging in a firefight, and the more familiar PMCs you've been fighting all along. They're all equally dead when you're done with them. As you plant charges at the designated points, you can hear radio chatter from task force teams taking up positions around the complex. The director's voice cuts through occasionally, issuing precise orders with that same cold efficiency you've come to expect from her. This is personal for her, though she'd never admit it. With all charges planted, you trigger the detonation. The ground shakes as explosions ripple through the building's foundations, and the assault begins in earnest. Task Force 27 breaches the perimeter, and you fight your way up to the ground floor lobby to link up with them. The lobby is a testament to corporate excess. It looks like a showroom, not a battlefield, but that changes quickly as it fills with gunfire and the screams of dying men. Over the PA system, you hear Anton Lazar himself, CEO of Horizon and apparently Subject 78, addressing his security forces. He tells them to evacuate, that this isn't worth dying for. But his guards, out of some misplaced sense of loyalty, or maybe just corporate Stockholm syndrome, refuses to abandon their posts. Lazar's voice filters through the intercom, calm, almost resigned despite the chaos closing in around him, and he talks to you, 106, directly. He reaches out with one last appeal, trying to fracture conviction. The invaders, he says, are always the aggressors. Task Force 27 isn't just eliminating military targets, they're rounding up civilians too. This isn't an assault, he warns, it's a genocide. Was that ever part of the mission? His words might make you pause if you weren't so deep in combat. There's no time to philosophize when bullets are flying. After clearing the lobby, you take an elevator up to the executive floors, where Lazar is supposedly holed up. The elevator doors open to reveal something unexpected. Not more offices, but medical equipment. High-tech surgical stations, monitoring devices, and what looks like brain scanning machines line the halls. On a desk nearby, you find a folder containing a memo about an emergency project requiring personnel with cranial capacities over 1800s and IQs above 140. When you finally burst into Lazar's sanctuary, you understand what the project was all about. There he is, Anton Lazar, Subject 78, spasming in a medical bed while connected to a complex array of machinery. He's trying to upload his consciousness, to transcend his physical form and become truly immortal. And he's using the brains of donors, whether willing or not, to facilitate the process. This has to be stopped, not just because it's your mission, but because it's an abomination. You start destroying the brain containers, interrupting the upload process. Each one you smash causes Lazar's vitals to spike on the monitors attached to it. But Horizon isn't going down without a fight. Waves upon waves of security forces pour into the room, desperate to protect their boss during his transformation. It's one of the most intense firefights you've experienced yet, with enemies attacking from multiple angles while you try to destroy the remaining brain containers. Just when things seem most desperate, Raven arrives on scene. Your loyal pilot, who's been with you since the earliest missions, maneuvers in through the chaos, braving Horizon's anti-air defenses to deliver one last crucial piece of the plan. He doesn't land, he doesn't wait, he hovers just long enough to kick the breach charges out of the helicopter before pulling away. But he doesn't get far. As the charges hit the deck, a second aircraft suddenly emerges. A Horizon gunship armed with a final horrifying surprise. Slung beneath its frame is a sleek pod housing Lazar's digitized consciousness. This is his backup plan, his last route to immortality. The fight is no longer just about stopping a CEO. It's about preventing him from becoming untouchable. The Horizon chopper opens fire. Raven tries to evade, pulling high and hard across the glass skyline, but the gunship is faster, angrier, and carrying more than just bullets. It strafes Raven's bird in a clean pass. The explosions light up the sky, and your ride home becomes a spiraling fireball, plunging into the ocean below. You're alone now. The breach charge lies at your feet, the only way into Lazar's protected chamber. There's no more support coming, no extraction. Just you and the man who wants to become more than human, locked behind reinforced glass, waiting for ascension. And you've got one shot left to stop it. Fueled by rage at the loss of the only person in Task Force 27 who ever showed you a shred of humanity, you grab a minigun from the still smoking corpse of a bomb-suited heavy. The helicopter's already banking hard, trying to take you down before you can stop Anton Lazar's consciousness upload. But it's too late. You activate slow motion, shells stream from the minigun in a glowing arc of heat and fury. The rotors shudder, the hull buckles. You keep firing until the air is thick with smoke and glass, and then impact. The chopper veers, spirals, and slams into the side of the building several floors below, erupting in fire and dragging the last piece of Lazar's plan with it. You don't say anything, you don't celebrate, you just reload. With all upload paths destroyed, you approach Lazar's medical pod. His security forces lie decimated around him, the reinforced glass designed to withstand conventional weapons. But that's what the breach charges are for. You place them carefully, ready to finish this once and for all. But something strange happens. As you arm the charge, a sudden searing pain shoots through your head. Your vision blurs, darkens, and through the darkness, you hear Lazar's voice. Not through speakers, but somehow inside your mind. Break the cycle. Lazar stares at you through the reinforced room, still lying in that hospital bed. He's not afraid, just confused, like he's trying to piece together something that doesn't make sense. Something that was never supposed to happen. Then it happens. You don't make a decision, you don't throw a punch, you just blink. And when your vision clears, your arm is buried through the room's shattered glass. Blood and brain matter coat you up to the elbow. Lazar's skull caved in. The alarms keep blaring, but the room is silent. You don't remember moving, you don't remember killing him, but the result is undeniable. The contingency ends here. As Lazar's monitors flatline, the director's voice comes over your radio, cold and satisfied, telling you that the target is dead and that we've done it. Horizon is finished. You extract your fist from the ruined remains of Anton Lazar's head, oddly troubled by his final words. What cycle? These questions linger as you make your way back to the extraction point. The halls of Horizon HQ now eerily silent except for the occasional distant gunshot as Task Force 27 mops up the remaining resistance. You've won. Horizon is destroyed. So why doesn't it feel like victory?
Initiating cycle 107.
You return to the Task Force 27 safe house after eliminating Anton Lazar, expecting perhaps some acknowledgement of your victory. Maybe even a moment to process everything you've seen and done. What you get instead is betrayal. As you approach the airlock to enter the base, something feels off. The guards are too alert, too tense. The moment the doors close behind you, gas begins pouring in from hidden vents in the ceiling. Don't fight it, 106, the director's voice says coolly over the intercom. You were the Syndicate's most valuable asset, but it's time for you to retire now. The gas takes effect quickly. Your vision blurs, your limbs grow heavy. The last thing you experience before darkness claims you is the director's voice urging you to give in. You wake up strapped to a gurney, being wheeled through a corridor. The overhead lights pass by in a rhythmic pulse. You can't move, can't speak, but you can hear the director's voice alongside you, explaining your situation, as if giving a lecture. She explains that we're just one of many cycles, her voice clinical and detached. Each of us built for a specific purpose, each of us disposable, once that purpose fulfilled. As she speaks, images flash before our eyes. Memories that aren't yours, yet somehow feel deeply familiar. Subject 105, your rescuer from Site 14, breaking into the facility and slaughtering guards with terrifying efficiency, then taking his own life once you were free. Subject 95, Dr. Emerson, grimly releasing Mothman from containment at the Pandora Institute, knowing full well it would lead to his death. Subject 91, the Patriarch, standing before his followers at Jorvik Castle, preaching about the end of days and the coming judgment. Subject 78, Anton Lazar, standing atop his corporate tower, looking out over his empire before tossing his medallion off the edge, watching it fall into darkness. Each of them carries a medallion, an engraved coin stamped with their subject number. They aren't just identifiers, they're reminders, tokens of origin, proof that none of them chose to be what they became. The medallions are always found at moments of clarity, before a sacrifice, before a death, before the cycle moves on, whether clutched in a dead hand, left behind in a ruined facility, or hurled into the void. Each one marks a refusal to forget what was done to them. They were weapons, but they remembered enough to try and stop being one. The director continues, explaining how each of us was engineered for different roles within the grand scheme of the Syndicate. But through these visions, you hear other voices too. The Patriarch speaking about planting seeds to break the cycle. Lazar raging about betrayal, saying he sacrificed everything for the Syndicate, only to be abandoned. The visions culminate in a single image. Lazar's medallion falling through infinite darkness, spinning slowly as it descends into the void. Now that your purpose is fulfilled, the director concludes with chilling finality. Cycle 106 is complete. You don't wake up in a quiet cell. You wake up on the gurney, already strapped down, rolling straight into the fire. Literally. Your limbs are still paralyzed, but your mind is alert, barely enough to register what's happening. This isn't sedation, this is disposal. You're about to be incinerated alive, and no one even had the decency to wait for you to go under. There's no villainous monologue, no emotional farewell, just a silent clinical process, the kind you'd use for medical waste. A pair of guards begin preparing to slide you into the fire. They don't check your pulse, they don't ask questions. To them, you're not a person, you're just a job. An old tool that has lived past its usefulness, prepared to be disposed. But something's wrong with their plan. Either the drugs wore off too early, or maybe they never really worked on you at all. Because just as one of them begins to loosen your restraints, you move. You snap your arm free, grab his sidearm from its holster, and in one fluid motion, blow a hole through his skull. Before the second guard even has time to reach for his weapon, he joins his partner on the floor, his blood pooling around your restraints. You're not supposed to be awake. You're not supposed to be alive. You're definitely not supposed to be loose. But now you are, and what follows is vengeance. Now the tables have turned. The very skills that made you such an effective weapon for the Syndicate are about to be used against them. You tear through the facility, a one-man army fueled by rage and betrayal. These were your allies just hours ago, people you fought alongside, but now they're just obstacles between you and vengeance. Their panicked radio chatter tells a story. Nobody expected you to break free. Nobody thought you could resist the sedatives. Nobody prepared for what happens when an unstoppable killing machine turns against its masters. He's loose, locked down all sectors. How the hell did he get out? We're all gonna die. You remember the nuclear warhead the director showed you, the failsafe. That's your target now. If the Syndicate wants to bury you, you'll make sure they go down with you. Fighting your way towards the elevator that leads to the warhead chamber, you hear the quartermaster shouting orders, trying to organize a defense. But before you can reach the elevator, there's an explosion. They've destroyed it, realizing your plan. This doesn't stop you, nothing will at this point. You find another route, fighting through more security checkpoints, destroying power generators as you go. Over the facility's intercom, you hear the director and quartermaster frantically trying to activate what they call the next cycle. Subject 107. You push harder, knowing you need to stop them before they succeed. But you're too late. As you breach what appears to be a cloning facility, you see dozens of tanks filled with fluid, each containing what looks like an unfinished human body. At the center, one tank ruptures, and from it emerges Subject 107. He's different from you, more advanced. His skin has an ashen grey pallor, and parts of his body seem to be augmented with cybernetic components. In his hand, a curved katana that seems to hum with energy. He moves with impossible speed, flickering in and out of visibility, just like you can. The fight is brutal. He's faster than you, stronger than you. His sword cuts through the air with precision that borders on prescience. You throw everything you have at him. Bullets, grenades, your own enhanced physical abilities, but it's barely enough to keep him at bay. Eventually, you manage to damage him enough that he retreats, vanishing into the depths of the facility. But you know this isn't over. He'll be back, and next time, he won't underestimate you. You press on towards the warhead, pushing through rooms filled with technicians and security personnel mounting a frantic defense. In one chamber packed with explosives, you find a laptop rigged to detonate them. You quickly defuse it, but With her arms still on the laptop, 107's blade sweeps down towards them. You're fast, but not fast enough. The blade severs your left hand cleanly at the wrist. White-hot pain lances up your arm as blood pumps from the stump. But still, we manage to fight off 107 before he vanishes again, leaving you wounded and reeling. But even this doesn't stop you, continuing your relentless push towards the warhead chamber. One-handed, bleeding, but more determined than ever. Finally though, you reach it, the massive room housing the thermonuclear device. But 107 is waiting for you. Sword at the ready. This is it, the final confrontation. Fighting with one hand is nearly impossible. Every movement is awkward, every shot less accurate, but what you lack in dexterity, you make up for in raw, focused hatred. This isn't just about survival anymore, it's about ending the cycle once and for all. The battle pushes you to your absolute limit. 107 is relentless, his attacks coming from every angle, his invisibility making him nearly impossible to track. But slowly, methodically, you wear him down. A bullet here, a grenade there. Each hit slowing him just a fraction more. When he finally falls, it's almost anticlimactic. A well-timed shot lands just as he becomes visible again. Disrupting whatever tech or anomaly allows him to phase in and out of reality. His form flickers violently. Then everything shifts. The world takes on a cold bluish hue, his perspective now, not yours. The sound dulls, the chaos fades, and for a brief, eerie moment, you see what he sees. Silence, stillness, perhaps even clarity. And then he detonates. A final catastrophic surge of energy erupts from his body, wiping out what's left of him in a single blast. There's no triumph, no catharsis, just silence, and the knowledge that even in death, he was still just another experiment. Bleeding from dozens of wounds, barely able to stand, you drag yourself to the warhead's control panel. The big red button the director showed you glows ominously in the dim light. With your remaining hand gone, you have to use what you have left. Leaning over the console just as another clone bursts out of its vat, you press your bloody stump against the button. The world goes silent, no alarms, no sirens, just a deep, mechanical hum rising beneath your feet. Then, detonation. A blinding white flash floods the screen. There's no time to react, no time to reflect. One moment you're standing over the body of your successor, and the next, you're gone. Everything is gone. The facility is vaporized in an instant. Task Force 27's records, its experiments, its secrets, all reduced to ash in a single breathless moment. There's no cinematic countdown, no frantic dash to the exit, just the end, sudden, absolute. And in that silence after the flash, there's nothing, no trace of Subject 106, no voice, no monument, just absence, just peace. But for you, in those final milliseconds before the light overtook everything, there's a flicker of something else. Not fear, not pain. Understanding. You did what they couldn't. You ended the cycle. In the final moments before detonation, you think about all the others who came before you. 105, 95, 91, 78. All of them tried in their own way to break free. And all of them failed. And you succeeded where they couldn't. Because you understood something they didn't. The only way to truly escape the system is to destroy it completely. The screen fades to a distant shot of the isolated island where the Task Force 27 headquarters is located. A blinding flash erupts from the center, expanding into the unmistakable mushroom cloud of a nuclear detonation. The shockwave ripples outward, vaporizing everything in its path. And just like that, the Syndicate's grand design, its carefully maintained cycle of creation and destruction, comes to an end. If you collect every drone across the campaign, these strange floating devices that buzz in, interface with your mind, and vanish, leaving behind typically cryptic text segments that I didn't really include in the recap because I don't know. You unlock something different, something worse. After the warhead detonates, after the Syndicate burns and the cycle finally ends, you don't die. You reboot. You wake submerged in what seems like a cloning vat. There's no alarms, no enemies, just a sterile voice from somewhere in front of you. Welcome back, 6. We're not done with you. That's when it hits. You didn't escape, you are archived. Everything you did, every bullet, every kill, every moment of rebellion was captured. Not just your memories, your instincts, your decision-making, your combat patterns. All preserved, all uploaded. You're not a person, you're a routine, a loadout, a perfected template waiting to be deployed again. Those drones, they weren't just collectibles, they were data points. Backup nodes. Every time you activated one, the system took a little more of you. Not just who you were, but how you worked. You thought you broke the cycle, but all you did was finish your upload. This isn't a victory, it's a vision update, a new model, a better tool. Your final act of defiance was exactly what they needed to make the next one more effective. The rebellion wasn't outside the system, it was part of it. And that's the real horror. Not just that they used you, not just that they planned for this, but that they let you feel like you won. Like you made a difference, like it meant something. But the cycle doesn't end, it just gets cleaner. And now, you're ready for the next run. Trepang2's story isn't just about missions or objectives, it's a critique of dehumanization through systems of power. Each level is a stage: containment, deployment, betrayal, rebellion. You're not solving problems, you're cleaning them up. The cycle isn't just lore, it's a metaphor for how institutions weaponize people and then throw them away. You were made to serve, whether it's Horizon or the Syndicate. The end goal is the same: shape people into tools. You didn't earn your powers, you didn't train for them, you were built to kill. And the game constantly reinforces this. No morality system, no choices, no growth. Even your enemies, Subject 95, the Patriarch, Anton Lazar, they're not villains, they're echoes. Previous attempts to break free. Some tried to destroy the systems, others tried to outlive it. None succeeded. And when you finally do, when you choose to end the cycle, the game doesn't reward you. It gives you two endings. One where you nuke the Syndicate and die with them. One where you survive as data, archived, updated, ready for redeployment. That's the real statement of Trepang2. You can't unmake the system by playing through it. The violence feels exhilarating, but it's empty. You don't win, you just reach the point where you understand why you were created. Subject 106 never speaks, but by the end, his actions say everything. The cycle ends when someone refuses to play their part. But even then, this system might still win. Trepang2 doesn't ask for your approval. It doesn't want you to feel conflicted. It just gives you power. Raw, unearned, and impersonal. And then it watches what you do with it. There's no twist where you're secretly the hero. No redemption, just one objective after another. A cell, a corridor, a massacre, a warhead. It's easy to say you were just following orders, that it wasn't really you. But the game makes that harder the longer you play, because you're not watching the monster approach, you are the monster. And when the Syndicate finally tries to erase you, like every subject before, you don't go quietly, because by then the horror isn't something you cause, it's something you understand. You're not just a character in the cycle, you're the product of it. And you worked exactly as intended, right up until you didn't. So what's left when the cycle ends? Not peace, just clarity. Just the memory of what it felt like to move through shadows and fear, to be the reason someone whispers over a radio. If the lights flicker, you're already dead. And even then, the system keeps you, not as a person, but as a code. Not because you had value, but because you functioned. And that's the final horror. You didn't survive it, you were it. Well, hi. Thanks so much for watching this video. Honestly, this game is fucking amazing. I know if you got this far, you already know the story, but the story isn't. The story's really good, but it's not the core appeal of it. The gameplay. So if you do want to still play this game, I'll leave a link down below. You should definitely check it out. It's fucking incredible. But I'd just like to thank my Patreons and members. So that is the Milkman, a Roxano, Vinicus Franca, Ice Bear, and a Brick Wall. So thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to support me, then obviously members and Patreon is open, but it's up to you, obviously. Follow me on Twitter. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy, because it helps a lot. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.